let's think a bit now about different theories of meaning. So what does a theory of meaning have to do? It has to explain how arbitrary sounds connect with the world. Language is a collection of arbitrary sounds. There's nothing canine about the noise, dog, and so on, right? How does that work? Well, one option, and now I'm going to run through some naive options, and none of them will really work. And the lesson there is not that philosophers have no idea how language works. What it means is that the naive options that you may first think of are being naive, don't work terribly well, but thinking through why they don't work sets you up to do, well, philosophy of language in the third year, essentially. Okay, so the first naive option that doesn't really work is the referential theory of meaning. So the idea with the referential theory of meaning is this. We kind of understand how names work, right? When you're very little, somebody decides, you are going to be called whatever your name is, and there's a bit of a kind of public ceremony, and it's agreed, and from then on, that's your name. And it's your name because people use it to refer to you. So if we could somehow extend that to cover other kinds of language, other kinds of word, then that would be good. The trouble is that for abstract terms, it leads to Platonism. Because, okay, what does the word Brendan mean? Well, when I'm in the room, it means this object, right? It means this thing here. What does the word justice mean? Well, there isn't a thing you can point to the way I just did like that in the empirical world. So for the referential theory of meaning to do anything with the word justice and to explain how it has a meaning, we have to have an object that the word, refers to, right? So there has to be something called justice that the word justice refers to as if it were a name. And the only candidate would have to be some kind of Platonic essence. So some non-material, untouchable, unsmellable, untastable, invisible, inaudible item which is named by the word justice. And most philosophers think that's a poor option because then you have to explain how the existence of that strange unearthly object, the Platonic essence of justice, is at all connected to our ability to use the word correctly. Because you would hope that the meaning of the word would somehow be part of the explanation of how we're able to use the word correctly. Also, the referential theory of justice has difficulty with the little connecting words. And, although, but, because, his, to, then. How does the referential theory of meaning get on with them? Okay, so that's the referential theory of meaning. Let's skip along to the image theory of meaning. Now this is one that you should pay attention to because some of the people that you are going to read use some version of the image theory of meaning. John Locke, for example, and George Berkeley are generally understood as having had some version of the image theory. So the idea there is that the meaning of a word is an image that you have in your mind. So how are you able to use the word dog correctly? Well, because you've seen a dog and you've made a kind of photocopy, or you've got a kind of photographic copy. Berkeley and Locke obviously didn't use the photographic metaphor, but I think it's pretty clear that they would if they'd had it available. They talk about copies. And so you have a kind of photograph of this dog in your mind, and you attach that to the word dog. So that's how you're able to use the word correctly. The trouble is, of course, that, well, one of the problems is that there are lots of different sorts of dogs, different sizes, shapes, colours. How does your mind know that? So supposing your prototypical dog, the one that you photographed and kept a mental image of to tell you the meaning of the word dog, supposing that dog was a black Labrador, and you encounter a kind of sandy-coloured Pekingese, how do you know that this sandy-coloured Pekingese is a thing of the same sort as the black Labrador that you've got attached to the word dog? Maybe dog is that dog's name, right? For all your mind knows. So this isn't terribly helpful. Also, the difficulty with abstract words. You go back to justice again. Well, what does that look like? You can have icons of justice. So, for example, there's the statue of justice, with the blindfold and the scales in one hand and the sword in the other, right? But that's not a picture of justice. That's a picture of an icon of justice. And that's certainly, having that picture in mind certainly wouldn't help you to identify cases of justice when you come across them. Certainly in hard cases, if you had to ask, well, is this or that decision, is it just? Thinking of that image isn't going to help. And the image theory of meaning also has troubles with all the little connecting words as well, because what's a mental image that goes along with and or then or although, his, hers, whatever.